I've been with the company for 36 years. I came here as a consultant in 1987. And the first year, I was not on the payroll of the company, and I joined the company as an employee in October of 1988, 35 years back. I think two things have happened. One is that from the beginning, from 1983 till now, our commitment to customers, our commitment to employees, and our commitment to promoting Dubai, and the Emirate of Dubai and Dubai Airport has not changed. So that has been a constant in the last 40 years of the company. And what has changed over the years is, of course, the size of the business. We went from being a $20 million business in 1984 to a $2 billion business in 2019, and hopefully a $2 billion business this year. The growth in the retail areas, as we kept pace with the development of the airport, as the airport opened the Sheikh Rashid terminal, what we call Concourse C now, then Concourse A, Concourse B, then Concourse D, and in between Terminal 2. So we kept pace with the development, increased the size of our business, increased the number of employees. But what I'm especially proud of is the fact that our commitment to customers, our commitment to the employees, and our commitment to promoting Dubai never changed. Over the period of 36 years, there have been several milestones. From a retail point of view, the one that I remember the most is when we expanded the duty-free in December of 1989. And we opened a new perfume shop and some other shops. But the perfume shop I particularly remember because it was the first time that we had a walk-in perfume store. Earlier, we had a shop in which you came up to a counter and you asked for whatever items you wanted, but the customer could not enter the shop. And we built a new perfume shop, walk-in. It was a beautiful shop. And that was, let's say, a dramatic lift in the kind of the retail offer that we had. And on the retail side, we had multiple milestones, including the big one, which was the opening of Concourse C in April of 2000, then the opening of Terminal 3 and Concourse B in 2008, then the opening of Concourse A in January of 2013, Concourse D in February of 2016. And all those retail milestones were also matched with the work that we did in the back office. I remember in 1988, in April of 1988, we ran payroll on a computer system for the first time. In 1989, we were able to see the stocks that we had in the shop and the warehouse using the computer system. So on the technology sides, we had several milestones over the years. And then the big one for me was the construction of this building where we are sitting, and the opening of the automated distribution center in June of 2008 in preparation for the opening of Terminal 3 and Concourse B in October of 2008. The investment that we did in this building and in the automation and in the distribution center, along with the investments that we did on the technology side, is what helped the business to grow from $800 million in 2007-2008 to $2 billion in 2019. The company means everything to me, and I've worked for this company for 36 years, the longest service that I've had in my working life. And it's very unlikely I would repeat it anywhere else, considering the age that I'm at. So a very big portion of my life was spent here. A very big portion of my life was spent in Dubai. And for myself and my wife, Alpana, and for our children, working at Dubai Duty Free helped us to do many things which we may or may not have been able to do otherwise. And for me, in terms of my work, in the last 36 years, I had many opportunities to do many different things. For many years, I was responsible for information technology, but I was also responsible later on for logistics, for projects, and various bits and pieces. until I became the CEO in 2016. So the progression in terms of my career was fantastic. The progression in terms of my responsibilities and the things that I could do within the firm was fantastic. And most of all, we were blessed with the leadership of Mr. McLaughlin, who has guided the company through the last 40 years, provided vision, provided stability, provided support, and that has been a very big part of the growth and development that all of us, including myself, have enjoyed in the firm. I think the next few years may be challenging, maybe more challenging than the recent past. As we all know, the period from March of 2020 to, let's say, the end of 2022 was defined by COVID, and was defined by the crisis, and then defined by the recovery from the crisis. And I think we can all safely say that in 2023, that we have fully recovered from the crisis. We brought back most of our employees whom we had to lay off during the crisis. Our sales is back to the level it was before the crisis. So from all of those metrics, that phase of the company we are done with. In future, as the airport continues to increase its number of passengers, and as we go from 85 million passengers this year to, let's say, 88, 89 million passengers next year, 94 million passengers in 2025, the challenge for us will be to maintain the sales growth, which is commensurate with the growth in the passenger numbers. And that's not an easy thing to achieve, because as the airport gets more congested and as people are under more pressure when they go through the airport, the both penetration, which is the number of passengers who actually buy in our shops, and the amount of money that they spend starts to moderate, and it starts to level off and potentially even decrease. So our ability to raise more revenue from the passenger base that we have becomes more and more difficult. So I think the first challenge will be on the revenue side. On the cost side of the equation, we all know that there has been a general increase in costs worldwide. Inflation is prevalent in most markets, including Dubai. The cost of living has gone up for our employees. The cost of doing business has gone up for Dubai Duty Free. And therefore, maintaining the profitability levels that we had before in an environment where costs are going up will be even more challenging. And the third aspect of this problem is that the kind of retail offer and the kind of let's say brands that customers want more and more, especially in areas like fashion and in luxury, typically have lower margins than in the more traditional categories, like perfumes and cosmetics, liquor and tobacco, and others. So you have a situation where it will be harder to make more money from the passengers that you have. Your cost of business is going up, and your margins are coming under pressure. On the opportunity side, it's fantastic that the airport will have 90 million, 89, 90 million passengers next year, 95 million passengers a year after. And so therefore, whatever we can do to increase the penetration, even if we can increase the penetration by, let's say, 2 percentage points or 3 percentage points, and increase the spend a little bit, the impact of that on our revenue base will be significant. So what we need to do is have better customer service, have a better retail offer, use technology better to drive more revenue from the passenger base that we have. And I think on the technology side, the opportunities are fantastic. In the same way that the internet, let's say 25 years ago, ushered a major revolution, today things like artificial intelligence and within that things like machine language are a great opportunity for companies like us to improve the way that we work, to lower our cost of our operations, and provide a better service to the customers. So I think there are both challenges and opportunities for us in the future. From an industry point of view, the focus for our competitors and for us has to be on providing value for customers. The birth of the travel retail business and what we used to call, the duty-free business before was value for customers, and our core principles which we established in 1983, providing value for customers, providing an attractive shopping environment, providing convenience in shopping, providing a wide range of merchandise, providing good quality merchandise. Even though these principles are 40 years old, I believe that those principles are still important. So what we need to do is to be mindful of the retail offer that we have. When you have an airport which has opened concourses at different stages, over the last 20, 30 years, the retail areas that we have are also aging at different rates. So, for example, we have more than 20,000 square meters of retail space that is between 4 to 8 years old. We have 10,000 square meters of retail space that is more than 8 years old. So the challenge for us, and where the sort of what we need to do and what our competitors need to do, is to have a retail offer that is attractive, which means that you have to renovate, you have to refurbish your retail areas, even though it means disruption in the business that you're doing. So, for example, we are currently renovating the liquor shops in both east and west of Concourse B. That business, that is undergoing renovation is a significant part of our business. Between those two shops, we'll have a turnover of at least 500 million a year. So you have large retail areas which need renovation and refurbishment, but they are also operational. So you have to renovate them and refurbish them in a way in which you minimize the disruption to the operations, but yet provide an attractive offer at the end of it. So I think for Dubai Duty Free and for all the other retailers, the challenge will continue to be providing a better customer experience, provide a better retail offer, make better use of technology, and continue to look after the people that they have in their teams. Because ultimately, the travel retail business is a people business, and the people that we have who work for us are the ones who are in front of the customers 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So I think retail in general is a relatively simple business, but it requires constant care, attention, investment in design, in fit out, on people, on technology to continue to do well in the future. The first thing that we would have to review and look at will be the people part of it. Whom do we have in terms of talent in the different departments that we have, and what kind of strategy do we have to develop them, and what is our response and how well do we do with Emiratization, which is a core, let's say, a core requirement of the government of Dubai and the government of the UAE. So I think the people part, including Emiratization, is something that we'll have to look at closely in the next decade to drill down into the business in order to see how we can maximize the potential of the passenger base that we have, and what we can do to generate revenue. Because I think in terms of growth and in terms of your ability to keep up a high level of growth will be more challenging in the next decade. In the last 40 years, we have grown at a compounded rate of approximately 11.5%, 12%. But getting double-digit growth in the future, I think, will be more challenging as the airport gets more and more congested. So looking for growth and looking for opportunities, that are there for growth will be a defining part of our our next phase. And included in that would be the renovation and refurbishment of the retail areas that we have, because we have 40,000 square meters of retail areas, and a substantial portion of it requires renovation and refurbishment, which is both disruptive in terms of operations and requires money from a capital point of view. So I think managing that will be challenging. Also, I think in the next decade, the competition from domestic retailers will continue to intensify. And as you can see around Dubai, whether you go to Dubai Mall, Mall of the Emirates, Dubai Hills Mall, in all of these locations, the quality of retail is fantastic. And many of the brands would like the retail offer in an airport to be similar to what is there in the domestic market. And they don't want to see a big drop when somebody comes to the airport and shops. So I think keeping up with the expectations of the brands and the expectations of the consumers in the next decade will be challenging. And looking after our employees in a rising cost environment will also be a challenge. So I think we have enough things to do in the next decade. I think the sustainability of the business will continue to be very important. As we all know, the UAE is hosting COP28 in November, and the sustainability and issues around it will come back center stage. And we, in the travel retail business, we have to be mindful of the fact that we are in a sector, which is the aviation sector, which has been under pressure and continues to be under pressure in terms of emissions. And in a place like Dubai, there are no easy alternatives to air travel, by definition, by the geography that we are in. So I think it is even more incumbent on people in the sector, like Dubai Duty Free, to do whatever they can to minimize the impact on the environment, and to at least try and take the steps that are necessary to slow down negative aspects like global warming and so on. We need to continue to educate our employees on what they can do to minimize the footprint on the environment, and we need to continue to work with brands and to see how they can help the situation with more sustainable packaging, for example, and other steps that brands can take. So that even if we are in a high emission industry, in the aviation sector, that we individually and collectively do our best to reduce the negative impact on the planet, and to make the place to a better place for future generations.